Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to give me a thumbs up or hit the subscription bar or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next video, or otherwise you could leave me a comment, which would be greatly appreciated, or you could look me up on my website, which is www.garethcahoon.co.uk. I have to say that I'm utterly ashamed of my city and country, Northern Ireland, at the moment. The City Hall is meant to be a place for government work and a place that can be for any or all of our society. And that's why I protest the hoisting of this pro-Palestine flag, which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, the colours on the flag are the same colours of the four horsemen of the apocalypse in the book of Revelation. And we, as a mixed country of Catholics and Protestants, should only have the British flag or the tricolour hung from City Hall, but whenever you fly a foreign government's flag, especially when it's so politically divisive and anti-Christian, which is why I protest that flag. Because if you ask a pro-Palestinian the question, who was the first leader of a state called Palestine, they can't answer because there was none. There's never been such a leader. There's never been such a country. It is a delusion of places like the UN, the useless nothings, who propagate the Palestinians up. And where are the 52 Muslim nations whenever their fellow Palestinians are starving, living in abject poverty in plastic tents, getting fed by handouts from other governments, whenever they could be living in peace and safety within any one of the other 52 Muslim nations? But why do they be kept on Israel's border? It's because they believe in the right of return. But Israel isn't just a mirage that has entered the world 78 years ago. It is an ancient land that was called Israel before. And it was the Romans that named that land Palestine because they hated the Jewish people because they were revolting against their rule in their land. And then the British then took up the name Palestine again as a way to placate the Arabs and keep oil flowing to Britain while this was all going on. But this flag above my head is nothing more than a figment of imagination. Palestine is a figment of imagination. Palestinians are a figment of the imagination, because there was never such a people called Palestinians in the history of the world. They mostly came from Saudi Arabia and in a way to take up the land. But if they were so interested in so-called the land of Palestine, which is now called Israel, why didn't they do something with it whenever they had control of it before 1948? There was a man who went from England and travelled to then called Palestine, and he said that as he travelled through it, he was lucky if he seen a gnat. Was the most living thing that he's seen in the land while he was doing his travels. And he wrote a book about it, and it was called the something Journey to Palestine. And he said that there wasn't even as much as tent dwellers when he visited the land. This was back in the 1800s. So if they had wanted to make anything of the land, they could have long before 1948. But it's only since the Jews came back into the land and prospered and multiplied and made the land beautiful into a fertile oasis that has now got one of the best economies in the world, that the so-called pro-Palestinians and the Palestinian people want to take over the land. But Israel tried that once when they tore Israelis from Gush Katif in Israel. They left greenhouses, they left beautiful homes, buildings, greenhouses full of fruit that the Palestinians could have worked. But whenever they got into Gush Katif, they tore the greenhouses down, tore the houses down, and built up a basic barricade with rockets to fire into Israel. So, Belfast, shame on you for placing this Palestinian flag up, and Sinn Féin, shame on you too, because you hoisted this up at the hour of midnight when there couldn't be a protest, and it was against the law. So Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.